What's up, Sooner Nation, and welcome to the first episode of our WhackoReview Podcast, where we go over all things OU football from over the weekend. I'm Steve Curtis, the voice behind WhackoSooners, and even though we had a bye week, we still have plenty to dive into today. Some major recruiting news coming out of the end of last week, the quarterback picture coming out of the bye week, and the part that I'm most looking forward to today, Jackson Arnold's collapse against Texas A&M back on Saturday. We're going to break it all down right here on WhackoSooners. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell button so you never miss an episode. Plus, you can follow us on our Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter X, all at WhackoSooners for live news updates, game time highlights, and of course, a few memes to keep it lighthearted and fun like we like it here in Sooner Nation. So go hit those follows to make sure you stay in the Wacko loop. So first things first, we got some really good news on the recruiting trail back on Thursday morning. Two huge in-state commitments. We have Cooper Hackett, 5-star offensive tackle from Fort Gibson, Oklahoma, ranked as the number one recruit in the state of Oklahoma for the 2027 cycle, and Kaeden Penny, 4-star interior offensive lineman for the 2027 class as well from Bixby, Oklahoma. So they're the number 1 and 2 recruits in the state of Oklahoma coming into the 2027 class. Huge gets, huge, especially given the offensive line struggles that we've had over the last several years. It's nice to see this upward trend in recruiting. I think it's kind of a vindication of the Jim Nagy process, and we can get into that a little bit more, but we can start off, I guess, by breaking down what we're thinking about these two new recruits that we got in on Thursday. So again, Cooper Hackett, 5-star offensive tackle, 6'6.5", 250 pounds, Fort Gibson, Oklahoma, number 1 recruit in the state. He first committed to Texas Tech back in late August, if I remember correctly. But OU didn't stop pushing. Bill Bedenbaugh and Jim Nagy and Brent Venables saw him. They really wanted him. And of course, Oklahoma, we like taking care of our in-state recruits. We like keeping it all within the family. And Wednesday night, we started hearing through the grapevines, especially through Jim Nagy, kind of hitting the Twitters a little bit, just saying, hey guys, we got something big coming in. And we did. We got a huge in-state win Thursday morning. He admitted, Cooper Hackett being he, admitted after the Auburn game that he really wanted to commit to Oklahoma right away after seeing that. But as we saw with David Stone's whole transfer shenanigan throughout Easter weekend, back when that was going on in April, that even though David Stone wanted to be at Oklahoma and stay at Oklahoma, there were those around him in his camp and those kind of influencing his decisions a little bit that were trying to see if they could take the more valuable approach to recruiting and the whole college process. And as we saw with David Stone, there was a lot of discussion with that, and eventually David Stone did make the final decision saying, I want to stay at Oklahoma, I want to be a part of Oklahoma, and he stayed at Oklahoma. We're kind of seeing the same thing with Cooper Hackett, previously committed to Texas Tech. Quite a financial commitment made over there in Lubbock, and then turns around, takes a smaller financial package to come to Oklahoma, but he wanted to be a part of that OU family. So we love to see that, and that, if anything, really validates the whole mission and culture that OU is trying to build in its players. Seeing that we're bringing in recruits that see the kind of people we are, or that the team is, I should say, not we. I'm not on the team, unfortunately. But seeing all of that come together is really validating for what BV has been trying to build there the last several years. As for offensive line coach Bill Bedenbaugh, continues to prove why he's good at what he does, why he's the best. Great on the recruiting trail, great in development and coaching, the best in the business. He was really fired up after getting Cooper's commitment and was texting Cooper like crazy. So excited to have you, buddy. Can't wait. And that also goes back to the culture thing. Hackett just said that Norman feels like home, the coaches, the players, the whole system feels like home and a massive family. As for kind of where he's rated and what he's looking like as a player, he's the highest rated Oklahoma prospect since, I think, Dax Hill in 2019, and he's one of OU's top targets for the 2027 class. He is or should have been right there at the top of the recruiting board. On tape, he's grown quite a bit in the last couple of years. He's really physical in the run game, showing that this year. He's finishing his blocks, showing really elite tools in pass protection with his length, his feet, and his punch. He's really agile, very versatile, very good at what he needs to be doing. And he's got a bit more violence in his game too. He's just kind of got that edge, that bulldog growl that you kind of want to go out and get. And you really want that in a future tackle. Just the ability and the tenacity and the grit to go and dominate. A good comp, I'd say, for him might be Tyler Guyton. Pretty long, pretty lean, sky-high upside. But really, really looking forward to what he's got to give us when he gets to campus. Now, granted, it is still like a year and 3 months. It's about 15 months away from National Signing Day. So a lot can happen. But very optimistic about keeping this one. Really excited about Cooper Hackett. Really glad that we were able to take care of our in-state kids and make sure that we got a good 5-star in there as well. Now, of course, 5-star, 4-star rankings, like, they look good on paper, but do they necessarily produce? Davis Stone, he's showing it now. He didn't last year. Last year, he was still very young and had a lot of developing to do. Jaden Jackson, his teammate from high school, was, I think, a 4-star coming out of high school, and he was a starter week 1. But you'll love to see those 4 or 5 stars on the recruiting list. As for Kaeden Penny, the other pickup that we got Thursday morning, 4-star interior offensive lineman, 6'4", 280 pounds, out of Bixby, Oklahoma, number 2 recruit in the state of Oklahoma. Bixby is an absolute powerhouse of a program. I remember when I was at OU, met tons of people that were from Bixby and around Bixby, and we're always talking about Bixby high school football. But OU's rarely pulled guys out of there. I think the last time that OU was in the running for a guy out of Bixby was, I think, tight end Luke Haas, who's, I think, at Ole Miss now, back in 2022. And then that fell apart when Lincoln Riley departed, or he was in the 2022 class. But the whole shenanigan with that was there at the end of 2021. Haas decommitted from Oklahoma about 5 or 6 days after Lincoln Riley announced his departure for USC. But OU got into the Bixby pipeline, which I've been wanting to see for a while because Bixby has some great guys, great program, great development, great coaching. And we got into Bixby. We'll see if that can help us break into that Bixby pipeline more, that this isn't just a one-off thing like we've been seeing OU do with IMG Academy down in Bradenton, Florida, where we got Jaden Jackson, David Stone, although he is originally from Oklahoma, we got him out of IMG, and Jake Krell in 2026's class, who we got a commitment from back in August. He's also from IMG. So we'll see if we can break into Bixby a little bit, kind of keep our hands on those in-state kids. Penny's a stud. Honestly, he breaks a massive trend. He's a top 50 prospect, I believe. His commitment came right after Hackett's, within an hour. They're both pretty tight. They train together a lot. I think that probably had something to do with it as well. Another huge win for Bedenbow, a high-rated offensive lineman recruit coming into the 2027 class. He chose OU over, I think, Ohio State, LSU, and Ole Miss, despite saying he was going to take his time and see how the season progresses. We're 5 weeks into the year. Or at the time, we were only four weeks into the year. And he just said, screw it. We're going to Oklahoma. We're staying home. And, got him locked in, was massive. You can probably build a much deeper offensive line class out of this because you've already got 2 insanely great guys. That's going to be very attractive to quarterback prospects for 2027, as well as other offensive linemen, probably running backs as well, just to know that you'll have that wall of guys to protect you and make those gaps for you. On film, he, like Cooper Hackett, very violent, very physical. He pairs it with really good footwork, really good on lateral shifts, and being able to readjust when he overshoots a block, especially in the run game. And that's really rare for his size, that kind of quickness, that kind of capacity almost. And he's really versatile enough to play both on the outside at tackle, but come into guard and even at center. And we know how Bill Bedenbow loves shifting guys and seeing what he can get out of them and make them all-around offensive linemen, not just, you're set at offensive tackle or guard or center. You can go and kind of shift them around and see what works best on a week-by-week basis. A good comp, I think, for Kaeden Penny could be David Joseph back in the early 2000s, way before my time being able to talk about OU football intelligently. I probably was still in diapers with OU stamped on them. But just that kind of a comparison that I've been hearing going around shows how high that we think Kaeden Penny's ceiling could be when he's had his coaching and development done and he's a 2-year, 3-year guy once he's in that second year or third year. And, it's the same kind of athleticism and violence that Joseph had. He's ranked inside the top 50, could push higher. His 6'4" frame might make it a little short of making him a top 32, which is okay. At the end of the day, we don't care about the rankings coming out of high school. We care about what he produces on the field for us. Yeah. And to wrap this part of it up, so happy to see offensive line commits like this. Just to know, because Oklahoma is known for good offensive lines, great quarterback play, really good receivers. And that's kind of been hard to do the last couple of years, especially last year was really bad. This year, it's shaping up good in pass protection. Run can have some work done. But to get these kinds of commits really is like, okay, we're going to be okay. We'll look all right, and we'll see what happens. And this is just vindication for me, the Jim Nagy process. I trust that we brought in Jim Nagy for a reason. I know not a lot of people are super high on it still, but I think it's going to pay dividends. It's going to take a while for it to bear fruit, but instant gratification society is a real thing. So not everyone is patient enough to see that kind of development over 2-3 years with players, and I understand why. I just think people need to work on their patience more. I try to be patient with this. I've been a BV supporter since the day we hired him and have not had a moment of doubt. I've said it's rough, but I think BV is the guy to get it done. But yeah, that's what we've got on the recruiting trail. Quarterbacks, healing and preparation. So John Mateer, his surgery last week, as I'm sure we all know at this point, went really well. He tweeted out as soon as he was done, surgery went well, great procedure. Dr. Shin is the GOAT. Can we give Dr. Steven Shin an honorary sideline pass to every game and give him a ride on the Sooners schooner and give him a statue in Heisman Park with Baker and Kyler next to where Johns is going to go either this year or next year, depending on whether or not he stays? Can we take a moment and applaud Dr. Steven Shin, MVP of Oklahoma's season, to go in there and repair John's first metacarpal break from the Auburn game last week. Steven Shin, man. Shin sanity has taken over social media. Oklahoma's Yik Yak, TikTok, Instagram. It's literally everywhere. Love that guy. And all the memes are great. Steven Shin is a beast. Love him to death. I think A.G. Drummond, AG of the state of Oklahoma, actually gave him a letter of commendation, if I'm not mistaken. First time I saw that, I couldn't tell if that was AI or not, because you never know these days. But yeah, we love Steven Shin over in Norman. And I believe John, when he originally got home from LA and surgery, the cops were at the airport to provide him some privacy and get him home. And then BV did say after practice, after John got back, he's like, yeah, John's back. I'll make him available to the media if y'all want to talk to him. John actually declined to attend, which understandable, getting cut open and your hand messed with, probably on some painkillers. Mouth might be a little bit loose. Not that John would say anything bad, but just you want to make sure that you're on your A game when you're talking and answering questions to the media and everything, when everything you say is under a microscope. So totally get that. John will still be out for the Kent State game this weekend. We'll see about Texas. I've been hearing a lot of different conflicting things, whether or not he's going to be in or he might be in. From what I've heard, some sources have been, when asked about, yeah, he's going to be out, Kent State, Texas, maybe back by South Carolina, and they just laugh and like, okay. So we'll see. I'm optimistic that John will recover well, knowing the kind of competitor John is. He might push to come back, but honestly, if he's anywhere below 85% back, I don't want him to be at risk of being injured further. Would like him to be happy, healthy, and in as good of a place as he can be. But at the same time, that begs the question about surgery anyways. If BV and Arbuckle and everybody said, John, go ahead and get the surgery done, what does that say about Michael Hawkins Jr.? Knowing that, John probably, based on the base recovery time for this surgery, 3-4 weeks roughly, to tell Michael Hawkins, okay, John's out for 3 to 4 games, you're going to take over. So what does that say about Michael Hawkins and also the coach's opinion of the team as a whole, to hand the reins over to Michael Hawkins and say, look, we trust you, we got this. And I know that I was a little bit down on it last week in the first edition of the Wacko Weekly podcast, But honestly, I'm kind of more optimistic now that I've had time to think about it. I think that we're actually in a pretty good spot. I'd like to see more from the run game. As we know, I'm not a fan of the run game and DeMarco Murray right now. But if we hand it over to Michael Hawkins and we say, John, you know what? It's okay. Take a little while out. What does that say about where the coaches think this team is? They're confident enough to have our starting quarterback sit out 3-4 games based on base recovery times. Do they want him to be at full strength because they think that we might have a shot to make the playoffs? And if we do, you want him firing on all 4 cylinders? That's something I could see here. But yeah, John's doing well. Love to see it. Warhawk, Michael Hawkins Jr. I'm excited. I liked watching him play last year as a true freshman in the few games he started. And of course, the Tennessee game where he stepped in over Jackson Arnold, and then of course when he appeared against Maine for a little while towards the end of the game. I love Michael Hawkins Jr. Again, a bit apprehensive just because from what I've seen, I have not seen in him, not that he doesn't have it, I haven't seen a dog mentality of I'm going to go out, going to put the team on my back, we're going to go get it right now. I haven't seen that yet. Not that he doesn't have it. If he does have it and shows it to us, love it. Awesome. But love the kid, Oklahoma legacy, his dad. Mike Hawkins Sr. on Twitter is hilarious. Love the Oklahoma family connection here. Love how much that the Hawkins family loves Oklahoma, how dedicated they are to it. And I honestly think, we saw good flashes from Mike last year. Auburn game, he had that 50-yard touchdown run to start off the game. Had that big pass to J.J. Hester, the 2-point conversion where he flipped into the end zone. Kid lays his body on the line. And then in the Navy game, in the Armed Forces Bowl, I know it was called back on hold, but 50-yard touchdown run. Or touchdown run. Warhawk has some stuff. He had that great escape play where he kind of rolled out left, had to double back, and then he found Zion Kearney there for a touchdown down the sidelines. I think he's going to be just fine. I honestly think there's a lot of similarities between John and Michael, honestly, when it comes to play style. They're both runners. They're good at throwing on the run. They make quick decisions. They don't play afraid. Hawkins is young, so he's going to be a little bit slower. But ultimately, John is just a physically bigger and stronger version of Michael Hawkins Jr., and he has a bit more flair, and I think a lot of that comes with age and experience. So now, again, I know I was a little bit low on him last week. Now that I've thought about it more, I think that Michael Hawkins is going to do just fine. The offensive system and the offensive line and the receiver, the entire offense around him is in a much better place than it was last year, that I think that it's going to set him up for success. And again, we'll see how he does against Kent State. And I want Kent State to be a run-heavy game. I want it to be running backs heavy and figure out what the heck is going on with the run game, and I want Jaden not to go crazy. But that being said, let Hawkins get comfortable in a real game. Let him get where he needs to be. As for teammates and coaches and what they have to think about Michael Hawkins coming into this last week through the bye and then going into this week as well, BV in a post-practice interview the other day said he's a better version of himself this year. So BV's high on him. Arbuckle, I know I mentioned this last week as well, going into the Armed Forces Bowl through the first 5 practices, he already looks so much better. And Arbuckle's really high on him. Everyone has positive things to say. Deion Burks and David Stone are high on him. They're really impressed with his commitment, consistency, his ability to just go out and his dedication to learning the new system and getting better at it and just working hard every day. Kid's a workhorse. Kid's going to get it done. I think he's going to look really good against Kent State. Now, of course, yes, it is Kent State. And that's no disrespect to Kent State either. It's just looking at the opposition ahead of us. But we'll see if Mike is starting against Texas. They're in the Cotton Bowl in 2 weeks. Looking forward to that. Can't wait. I love going to the Cotton Bowl. It's probably my favorite day of the year. Love getting in there and getting to watch that game. Even in 2022 and 2024 when it was really bad, it's still a great atmosphere. Can't wait to go. As for sorry, I need a minute. I'm really excited about this. I'm really happy. Jackson Arnold and Auburn get dog walked by Texas A&M on Saturday. Now, I say dog walked. The scoreboard does not accurately depict how disgusting of an offensive performance this was from Auburn. Auburn's defense did everything they could to go down and fight and give Auburn the opportunity to win. Auburn's defense got a freaking turnover and took it right down close to the goal line, and Jackson Arnold ran it in for a touchdown. Other than that, if it was not for that turnover, Auburn would have had 3 points on the day. A singular field goal, probably. So, this Auburn offense is terrible. And it is all a combination of Hugh Freeze, terrible play calling, and terrible discipline, combined with Jackson Arnold and his lack of confidence and awareness. And that just makes me laugh. Now, mind you, I still wish Jackson Arnold all the best luck in the world. I feel awful for how the situation at Oklahoma turned out for him. It was a terrible, terrible system, terrible coordinator, terrible line, terrible injury situation. All of it was just terrible. Absolutely terrible. And I feel awful for Jackson Arnold because I think some of his troubles now at Auburn are residual from the OU disaster of 2024. But at the same time, I laugh because Auburn fans, we tried telling you about this all offseason. Jackson Arnold is not a good quarterback. The kid cannot make quick, good decisions. He holds onto the ball for too long. His offensive line gives him often 5 seconds to make a decision of where to go with the ball. And he just stands there looking around, maybe, and no, and then gets sacked. And let's go through that, actually. Let's go through the stats in his first 2 SEC games at Auburn, Oklahoma and Texas A&M, both on the road. Against Oklahoma, last week, Jackson Arnold was 21 for 32, 220 passing yards, average of about 10.5 yards per pass, 21 carries, minus 11 yards. That comes from the highlight of last week. 10 sacks. 10 sacks on the day from Oklahoma's defensive line and the linebackers. Yeah, that was great. I loved watching that. I was having a field day with that. And then, yet on Saturday against Texas A&M, 18 for 33, 125 yards through the air, 54.5% completion, average of 6.9 yards per pass. 15 carries, 11 yards, average of, that's 0.7 yards a carry, 1 rushing touchdown, sacked 7 times. In 2 consecutive games, Auburn has allowed their quarterback to get sacked 17 times. That's crazy. And to see that Auburn fans are still saying that their defense is leading the SEC in sacks, buddy, and they'd had, I think, 10 going into the Texas A&M game. And it's like, buddy, your quarterback got sacked just 10 times last week. And they've sacked the other quarterbacks that they've played also. Auburn is not leading the SEC in sacks. That's just wrong. Definitely not after this week with Texas A&M getting to Jackson Hole the way they did. Auburn had a total of minus 2 yards in the fourth quarter against Texas A&M on Saturday. That is how bad this is. And again, I feel terrible for Jackson Arnold. I really do. But we tried to tell you Jackson Arnold is not good, and you did not listen to us. You look at this, like the guy is scared. He's afraid to throw the ball. I mean, that, and he doesn't make good decisions either. Even if he has time to make a decision, and there's a clear one right in front of him, he's just like, I don't know. He's not confident in his ability. You look at that last 4th and 1 that Auburn had with about a minute left in the game. A&M was clearly coming in on a blitz, and they were going to draw one of their edges out to double team Cam Coleman on a curl. And at the time, before the snap, it looked like it was going to be on one-on-one. But then you look and you see, the edge rusher's going to come off and double team him. And then you had another curl on the right side that on a 4th and 1, you just get it and you throw it. You don't even think about that. Instead, J.A. takes the snap. The curl on the right goes and gets covered while J.A. is looking off to his left at Cam Coleman with the double team. And then he gets sacked because he took too long to make his decision. Or no, not even make a decision. He just made the wrong one. He made the wrong decision from the snap. He gets the ball, immediately looks to Cam Coleman instead of looking at the defense and figuring out what's going to be open. Not, I'm going to go to my number one target no matter what. If your number one target's double teamed on 4th and 1, you don't even think about it. You go to the guy that's open on your right on that short curl that was open on the 4th. I'm sorry. And I'm not even an Auburn fan, and I feel bad for Auburn. I actually don't like Auburn that much. But Jackson Arnold is as advertised by OU fans. Oklahoma told you how bad this was going to be. No pocket presence, no internal clock. 5 seconds with the ball. He's afraid to make mistakes. So instead, he gets sacked. Now, he impressed me last week against Oklahoma. He did impress me. I was very impressed with how poised he was. And the only 2 complaints, three complaints I would have had as an Auburn fan. He overthrew some wide open receivers that should have been touchdowns if he'd hit them on target, and Auburn would have won the game. And then Auburn fans wouldn't be able to cry about the bad officiating, which it was bad. Then he didn't see wide open receivers that were behind the safeties that could have gone for touchdowns and won Auburn the game, and Auburn fans couldn't have cried about the bad officiating. And then the third complaint is holding onto the ball too long and taking sacks, which is what he was doing on Saturday against Texas A&M. Now, I still wish him the best. That's still true. And I almost wrote a little article to put up on our blog that I owe Jackson Arnold an apology for saying he was going to be bad. I'm glad I didn't put that out because he is bad. He's really, really bad. And we saw it. Texas A&M and Oklahoma, they have good defenses, absolutely. But honestly, the MVP for OU's defense and Texas A&M's defense the last 2 weeks has been Jackson Arnold with his holding on to the ball, overthrowing his receivers, and not making good reads out of what the defense is giving you. Absolutely terrible. And Auburn fans, OU made him bad. OU caused all his troubles. No, he didn't. Kid is a system quarterback, and when the system breaks down, he can't do anything. And even within the system, he's not doing it right. But Auburn supposedly has a top 10 O-line based on talent and 2 of the best wide receivers in college football. And a solid run game with Jeremiah Cobb and Damari Alston. Okay, you still couldn't do anything because your quarterback's trash. As a player, he's trash. Wonderful human being. Terrible as a football player and a quarterback. With all these tools, Jackson Arnold's unable to succeed because he is Jackson Arnold. So, OU fans, take this as validation of everything we suffered last year. And that, yeah, a lot of it was on the O-line and the offensive coordinator, but the quarterback was also a big issue as well. And the rest of the world told us that it was just everything around him, not him. So take your flowers, take your validation today, take it home, call all the Auburn fans you know, and yes, point at them and say, we were right, you were wrong. Because I've been getting in my comment sections a lot of Auburn fans saying, dude, we should have listened to you. Yeah, you should have listened to us because we knew what we were talking about. Auburn is unbelievably cooked this year. Jackson Arnold is not made for this level of college football. And I'm sad to say that because I remember how excited Oklahoma was when he came in as a recruit. But Auburn has Georgia coming to town, not this upcoming weekend, but the week after. Georgia is coming to Jordan-Hare after their bye week. Then Missouri also comes to Jordan-Hare. Auburn's going to lose both those games. I also think when they go to Nashville to play Vandy, they're going to lose to Vandy. And Alabama's going to crush them in the Iron Bowl at Jordan-Hare at the end of the season. So Auburn is going to go 6-6, as I predicted going into week 1. I think I had Baylor. Yeah, I had Baylor marked as a loss and Missouri as a win. But, obviously, I was wrong about Baylor. Big 12 defenses, and Dave Aranda does not know what he's doing on defense. I know this because also a Baylor fan. But for the rest of Auburn's schedule, I'm confident in the rest of my picks. Auburn's going 6-6. And it's all because Hugh Freeze cannot instill discipline in his offense, and Jackson Arnold is bad at what he does. So Auburn is going 6-6 at best, I think, for the 2025 season because Jackson Arnold just can't put the team on his back and go win those big moments. But hey, if they go 6-6, at least they made a bowl game, unlike last year. And an Auburn fan that I know called me around New Year's and said, "Oh, Oklahoma is so bad, 6-7, lost your bowl game." I'm like, at least we went to a bowl game. Anyways, I digress. Auburn thought they could take Oklahoma's sloppy seconds and go do something big, but we told you. All right, that is my soapbox of Auburn fans. Eat your words. But yeah, that is going to wrap it up for today, Sooner Nation, on this edition of the WhackoReview Podcast, where we break down all things OU football from the previous weekend every Monday morning. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell button so you never miss an episode. Plus, remember you can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter X, all at WhackoSooners, for more live news updates, game time highlights, and of course a few memes to keep it lighthearted and fun. Go hit those follows so you're always in the Wacko loop. Boomer! Sooner.